In this episode, I'm going to answer a question from one of my PowerShell classes. How do you use write progress? Write progress is a really cool tool that you can use to kind of provide a visual indicator of the progress that your scripts are making. A lot of times when a long writing script runs, PowerShell's console just hangs there and you don't know when it's going to finish up. This is a visual tool that you can use so the user can anticipate when they can get back to work. Let's take a look at some code. Here you can see a very basic usage of write progress. Now in this code, I've got it encased inside of a for each loop just so we can send data to write progress to get the progress bar to a forward. The activity is the content that's going to appear outside the progress bar. The status is the text that's going to appear inside the progress bar. And the percent complete is going to determine how far that progress bar goes across the screen. 0, there's nothing. 100, it is done. I'm also going to start sleep for just a half second so we can see the progress bar working. Now, one problem that we're going to have here with this is that VS Code doesn't do a great job at displaying progress bars. So we're going to switch over to the PowerShell console. So let's take a look at our code running. So you can see on the left is the activity, test progress bar. The status running is in the status bar, and we saw it go across the screen. Now this also works in Windows PowerShell. Now Windows PowerShell, I'm going to admit, the progress bar is a little prettier. Now, not all of your code that's in a progress bar needs to be in some type of a loop. Let's say, for example, you've got some code that does take some time to run. It's just top down, doesn't loop. Well, we can reference the progress bar at different points in our code and just manually tell it, hey, update the percentage. Let's take a look at this code. In this example, we can see that I'm doing a write progress. I'm calling the activity running code, and then I'm going to have a different status for each stage of whatever this code is doing. And then I am also updating the percent complete for each one of these different steps so we get movement in the progress bar. Now, once again, I am using start sleep to kind of simulate when we have parts of our code running, we got to pause. So let's go jump back to PowerShell and see what this looks like. Here we go with PowerShell 7. You can see that the progress bar is moving through. There's no looping. It's just when it gets to that particular write progress and it matches the activity, then it updates the progress bar. And here's the same thing in Windows PowerShell. Again, prettier progress bar. But what if I need a parent and a child progress bar? Well, you can support that. So take a look at this example. Here, I'm going to be going through a list of clients. And the idea here is that I am going to be pulling event logs from those clients. So I want a progress bar to show me the overall progress of, how many clients I have to go. And then I need a progress bar to show me which event logs I'm pulling. And of course, how many more of those I have to go. So that is why we have this. So here is the list of the event logs that we're going to be pulling. What I have is 2 for each loops, one nested inside of the other. To start things off, I do need some way of progressing the percent complete. So I'm going to start a counter at 0. This for each loop, the parent for each loop, will cycle through each one of the clients, incrementing that counter, and then we're going to do a write progress. Here you can see we're going to be collecting logs from, and we're going to be able to see the client that we are collecting these log files from. Then we're going to see the status of working, and this is important. Because I'm doing a parent-child relationship, I need to make sure that I'm assigning an ID number to the parent. And then finally, we get to the percent complete, and it just simply uses this little formula to determine what percent is complete based on which client we're on. Now, I'm also going to do a start sleep so that we simulate a little pause between the clients. Now, the next part of the code is going to be our inner for each loop. The inner for each loop is going to do relatively the same thing. We have a counter so we can calculate how far along on the progress bar we are. We increment that counter for each log we go through. This one's going to have an activity name called getting logs. The status will tell us to log. This progress bar will have an ID of 2, but in order to associate this with a parent, we have to use the parent ID that we assigned the previous progress bar. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see how this works. Here it is in PowerShell 7, and you can see right here is where the client machine name is changing. And right here we can see the event log that's being pulled. We have a parent that's doing the overall progress, and we have a child that shows the progress on each one of the individual machines. And once again on Windows PowerShell, again, yeah, little prettier of a progress bar. And you can see the same functionality. So that is how you can build out a progress bar. Remember that anytime you have a long-running process, you need to provide the user with some information. How long is this going to take? Well, a progress bar is a good way of doing it. That way they don't think the program's hung and, Control-C, break out of it, and who knows what kind of damage that would do, particularly if you're talking to a database. Thank you for watching. Remember to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment with any questions that you want me to tackle.